If you think that your product ID has to be revolutionary in the AI or in the robotic space, you probably got it wrong. Today I will show you how Grüns, a 9-figure Shopify business, is one of the fastest growing e-commerce stores on the internet in 2026. They're in an incredibly competitive space. They sell supplements used in your daily habits with minerals, vegetables, and all that stuff. But instead of making it a boring green powder or some pills, they've turned it into a gummy bear. And it's an incredibly competitive space, but they nailed the marketing and their site is at a high conversion rate because of all these tactics that I'm about to show you. Their layout makes total sense, but the way they go about it is incredibly creative and has many valuable lessons that you can implement into your own store. So let's just dive right in. I'll take you through the different stages in the funnel and I'll show you what makes complete sense and what I would even improve further. You will learn exactly how to structure a page to make sure you answer all the questions your users have at that point, but also how to increase your subscription rate and how to make sure that you're incredibly relevant to the user. Let's get started with the homepage. So here I've prepared a fig jam where I've made a whole bunch of screenshots and added a few elements to note down for you what you can learn from this. So if we just go from top to bottom, you can see here at the top bar, always good to have one. Here they're offering a limited time flavor. Of course, this adds urgency, but also it promotes their new product. Always very strong. Whatever you put in here could be a discount. It's always valuable to have this primary bar. Grüns is very different because they don't have a traditional homepage and then a product page and then a collection page. They actually don't even have a menu. They got 2 buttons here, which has for adults or for kids. But that's it. There are more pages, but they're not promoting it anywhere. So it's incredibly simple. And they really think outside the box in this case. What they want is you to purchase, not to scroll around and browse to learn more. They want the purchase. And in their marketing, they're also very direct response copywriting techniques that they apply to make you take action today. They're not educating you like Apple and then they hope that you buy it in the store somewhere. They want you to subscribe today. So in the hero section, there are already very few good elements that you can copy. So the first one, always above the title, add social proof. They don't add 1, they add 2. So 4.8 stars out of 85,000 reviews, more than 1 million members. This is incredibly valuable, right? You already know that this is a big company. And then the big title, you have nutrition gaps. They emphasize the problem that you have. And then they provide the solution with Grüns fills them. So you have a problem and we solve that problem. That's a big statement, right? But then in the paragraph, they basically elaborate how they do this. And this is the same approach you should take to your page as well. Catch the attention by adding a huge title, right? Promise the world to them. And what's important here, that you really understand who they are and what they need, right? So their users have a nutrition gap. They want to be healthy. That's kind of what their problem statement is. But you need to think about the same problem for your users and put that in the title, make it almost unbelievable, and then back it up in a paragraph. Of course, you need to be able to back up the claims that you're making, but hopefully your product does solve a real problem. And then you have a button. It's not a boring button like add to cart or buy now. It's value driven, right? So the button actually says you save 52% and you got free shipping. That makes me think that I would want to click. And that's kind of how you need to approach it. Be different, be interesting, but especially add value, right? Around the, in this case, add to cart button, users are considering, should I add to cart, right? So also adding a 30-day guarantee right below it kind of emphasizes again that this is safe and that you should click there. And then here we also have an image. Just having an image without any information is kind of useless of real estate, right? This is the hero section. So you want to make sure you also educate the user. So here they're even saying it's a limited edition. Here it doesn't show it, but it's even like a flashy shine that goes over it every 5 seconds. They show how small the bags can be. And then here, of course, there's a lot more information about the specific product. So already from the top of the page, there's a lot of information that you can get about this company. Let's move on. So the homepage, of course, is still a way to direct the users where they need to be, right? You want to funnel them down because maybe there are kids on the site, maybe they're adults, maybe someone who likes mango or who does not. So this way you can direct the user. Of course, very important on the homepage for someone to eventually get to where they want to be. And something that is very good to use as well is having these little tags. It kind of breaks the normal way you read through things, and it allows you to kind of highlight that you got a new flavor, or if it's a new product, or it just got back in stock. It helps highlight key information for a user. And then of course the product adds a lot of value, so you want to make sure you communicate this. So here there's a huge gummy bear in the middle, which helps you see kind of what it looks like, and of course that it's clear that it's a bear, and then it just adds 4 unique selling points around it. Okay, so now we have a good idea of what the product is, who the business is, and now we kind of need to stack up all the proof and all the value that the user gets. So they're huge numbers. Honestly, most of the people will read the number, but not even the paragraph. But if you see a high percentage, it's probably good, right? So this is more like a cognitive way of learning the page rather than actually reading every word that it says on it. They do have sources here below. Most people probably won't see this. I assume that they have to make this because of legal claims that they might get from promising something without having any proof. So they're surprisingly big numbers. Always good to have, and of course, make sure you have these anywhere on your page. Okay, here's a lot more social proof. Of course, a lot more big numbers. I wouldn't even read this. I guess most people don't even read it, but they skim through it, right? Snackable, packable, tested. Okay, I'll assume it's tested. They got all these little asterisks here, so it's probably some proof. Big numbers, must be great. Okay, now we get to the actual product section. This is still on the homepage. So here we're looking at what we normally have at the top of a product page. And what we can see here is that they already start with a huge title. Limited time offer, save up to 52% on your first order. They're not writing creatively and coming up with unique ways to say something about their product. They just say what you want to read. You want to have a limited offer, you want to save a lot of money, especially if it's your first order. Possibly they even detect if you're a new user or not, so they're able to say that you're a new customer, or they might even change it out if you are a returning user to be relevant to them. So here, right before they jump into the product, they also have the social proof, even a 30-day guarantee. They're basically making you feel safe, right? Making sure that you know you can purchase without taking any risks. And then we get into the actual product section. And for this, I'll just show the actual page so you can see what it looks dynamically. So here's that section. What's interesting about this one is that it's pretty big, right? There are a lot of options. What your attention goes to first is probably just the product image itself. Something that's very important to do is add text into the image. We all just want to watch videos on YouTube all day, but maybe a step lower than that is just watching images instead of reading long paragraphs. So the user is likely to scroll through these images and just read what it says on the image rather than looking for a long paragraph. So on all these images, this is actually the only product that they show out of these 5 images. Even social proof, what to expect after taking Grüns, more stats, and more information. So it's very interesting that it's not necessarily all product images. Okay, so then we have nutrition labels, a few guarantees, a lot more information hidden in these drop-downs. So if you really want to learn about it, you can do it without clunking or taking up the whole space to add all this text. Right? It's very easy to skim through these and see, I'm interested in benefits, so I want to know the science. So it helps you filter through. But where the real magic happens is where you select the product options. Right? So choose your offer, low sugar or sugar-free. That's already more relevant to a certain audience. And then the other one is you have to choose a flavor. And when you choose the mango sorbet flavor, everything changes. And this is key because you want to give the user the emotional feeling towards a certain product. And now it's gummy bears. But what if you sell certain shoes? If they change the color, you want to change the color of the shoe. Or if they have an option for children, you want to make it relevant for children. Give them the emotional value as well, and not only making it like very boring to choose a certain product. Okay, so then you can choose for one person or for two people. Here is where they're probably making the money, right? So they're already upselling you to a bigger package. They do say 90%, 49% off or 52% off. But who has ever paid $50 for candy? You might buy a candy every day. You still spend the money, but you probably haven't spent $50 on nutritional candies before. And they even make you feel it's even smaller by breaking it down per day. This is 170 per day, 161 per day. That's very little. But if you look at $90, that's a lot. So they really do a good job at making you feel it's very little. And that's kind of what you want to do, right? You want to make them feel that they're getting a lot of value from the money that they're spending. And ideally, they get a lot more value than the money they spend. So that's kind of the difference you have to make. You need to increase the value and lower the price. And then they feel they're winning. But in this case, you're buying so much that they are certainly winning. 20 packs for every 4 weeks. They even tell you how many gummies. Of course, this sounds like a lot. So that it improves the value that you perceive from getting from this purchase. Fast and free shipping, pause or cancel anytime, 30-day money back guarantee. This is important because I'm thinking about getting myself a subscription, and that's very scary, right? Because I don't want to get stuck to anything, and it's just a hassle. I'd rather buy the product 5 times myself. So explaining exactly what it means to be tied to a subscription and how easy it is to get rid of it is very important to kind of counter the rejections that a user might already get from just looking at this. You want to counter their objection where it matters. You don't want to wait for them to talk on the chat. They will be thinking this, so you better answer and solve that problem right away. They're even adding some urgency, selling fast. Might be right, might not be right. They're probably never going to sell out, even though they are selling fast, just like an iPhone. How many iPhones do they sell a week? Millions. It doesn't matter, but it still gives the user the feeling that they need to have some sort of urgency. And if you're not interested in subscription, then you can also choose a one-time purchase. But of course, this is not what they want. So they make it very clear, there's no free shipping, your cost per day is much higher, and then the product is probably higher as well. Regular one-time price, $88 after your first order. So here they're even iterating again that it's expensive to buy a one-time purchase. And then they go into the different ingredients and all the healthy stuff that comes with it. Okay. Now you're considering the product, but now they're just stacking all the social proof together. And the good thing here is that they even have videos, which is a lot more realistic than just text. Everybody can let ChatGPT write 100 testimonials, but it's a lot more difficult to get real videos. And what they do very interestingly as well is that they're categorizing the videos. So if I'm interested in the benefits, I watch this one. If I'm interested in ingredients, I watch this one. So they've really thought about how can we best communicate the social proof. It's similar how other e-commerce stores often have like these different bullet points at the top that kind of summarizes all the reviews. You kind of help users go through it. And I think at some point you want to make them feel there's a lot of social proof, a lot of videos, and a lot of customers who love the product. But once you know that, that's fine. Often you're not even looking for the actual specifics. And then a very common element that users can make on the page is just a comparison table. So far, this page just follows all the basic things. Nothing spectacular about it, but the way they go about it is very creative and very unique. So having a comparison table like this really puts it into perspective. They themselves compare their product with the other products in the market, which gives them, of course, their control to make you think what they want you to think. If you go on the internet by yourself, you'll probably find a knockoff product for half the price. But in this case, they're already telling you what's in the market, which kind of satisfies your need to investigate that further. And then we got the footer. So far, very interesting. What I want to add to that part as well is they also have a kids product, and the kids product is just as good as the parent product, because what they know is that, of course, that the parent is purchasing the product. So all their copywriting, even when it's targeting kids, is for the parents. So the relevant copy is written to the target audience, which is parents. The parents, of course, want that the child has, instead of candy, something very healthy. And the child is given this candy. So what they do here is they share when the child normally uses this nutritional candy. So they kind of make it what's called in marketing usage occasion. So here they print it in your mind. Okay, my kid goes to school, he has a lunchbox, I will give him some of the candies as well. And the same for the other examples. So it's a very smart way of kind of printing it into their head and making it a daily habit, because that's important. They want you to subscribe, not just once. They really want you to be a continuous user. So here we have the same section, how you add a product to cart, but now for children. And now they're asking for how many children. So they're not asking you how many bags you want, because that doesn't have a feeling to it. They want how many kids you got. If you got 3 kids, you're not going to buy one for 1 kid, right? So it's very easy to kind of upsell you in that case to 3 kids. But if they would have asked you how many bags do you want to add to cart, you don't want to spend a lot, so you're just going to stick to 1. So it's a very clever way of making this like an emotional decision as well. Same as the other one, they're clearly describing the discount that you're getting, how cheap it is. And I can already tell you it's 52% off, but it's going to be always 52% off. It's not that there's like a campaign running now. Discount auto applied, which is good. Again, how many gummies. And again, the parent is buying. So what they do here is that they also upsell a product for the parent. So basically the product we looked at before. So if you're going to buy this for your kid, you're probably going to buy this for yourself too, because if you trust the product to be used by your kid, then you probably believe in it too. Okay, very good, interesting stuff. And then here they actually also mention in the cart, kids are 90% more likely to stick with Grüns when you do too. You, of course, is the parent. So they're even teaching you, they're educating you, but also selling to you that if you use the product, your child will use this very nutritious, healthy gummy bear as well. And that's kind of your main goal, right? You want them to be healthy, but if I take it, then they will do too. Very clever way of writing. And this is really, really showing that they really know their target audience. It sounds simple when I just read it and repeat it, but if you have to come up with this on your own, it's definitely a lot more challenging. Okay, further on the cart, they kind of gamify it, right? It's very common to have a free shipping at a certain threshold. So you actually save money if you add more product to cart, but eventually you will still pay more. And even once you reach free shipping, you can often add another gift beyond that if they start spending a lot more. And in this case, it might be slightly different because they are not like a store with 100 products and you always just keep adding them. They only have a very limited amount of inventory in terms of different SKUs. Limited time discount, auto apply. Even if it's auto apply, you should still mention it, which is very interesting because they are applying a discount to everybody, which basically means that there is no discount. It doesn't exist. So they invented this, and now they're even repeating it to you to make you aware that you're very lucky. So here we're adding one product to cart. This button caught my attention. When you click on it, it just adds the discount code, but it also adds a second unit. So instead of this, which looks like they're selling to me, and I kind of subconsciously I even ignore it. This one sparked my interest because I like a coupon if I can save some money. But if you click it, of course, it adds another product to cart. Here they're repeating the discount you get off, and where you have to make the decision, where you have to click on this button to go to checkout, They repeat again why you should click. Lots of reviews, lots of clinically tested, guarantees. Then it must be safe, so you click. So where it matters, you need to be there with the right content. Okay, and then we reach checkout. This one is interesting too, because they are promoting themselves again, right? So right below their logo, they have 1 million satisfied customers, 30-day guarantee, ships within 24 hours. They've already repeated this probably 20 times by now, but it remains incredibly important to do this throughout the site. If that is not enough, they even do that here again, to really make you feel sure that this is the right thing to do. And it doesn't really matter how big you are. They are a 9-figure business and they still repeat the reviews and the testimonials. But I'm sure if they got 1 million customers, they must be good. And they still repeat all the information. But they still don't let you go. They even upsell you here again. So every step along the way, they see that you're interested, right? Otherwise you wouldn't add it to cart, you wouldn't add it to checkout. So people who are interested are a lot more likely to actually make a purchase than the ones that are not. So don't be afraid to upsell all across your funnel. And they probably even do it on the thank you page as well, which you should definitely implement too. And again, here they're repeating how much you're saving. So this whole checkout page where the real money is made after they click the button, they repeat everything again and they really make you feel you got a steal, you got lucky. But of course you are not, because the discount is applied to everybody. Okay, I think there are a lot of valuable lessons for you to learn from their strategies to improve the AOV and the conversion rate that you can definitely implement on your own store. It's not about the page anatomy alone. It's not about how you structure and where the information is at, but it's also definitely how you communicate things. How do you specifically write for your target audience to be incredibly relevant and for them to understand the value that they're getting from this. So Grüns did an incredible job at converting their users. I hope you thought this was very helpful, and leave a like down below so you can see more of our videos coming up.